In this video, I wanted to go over the basics of constructors in C++. Now, if you're in any programming language, whether you're in JavaScript or C++ or Python or any language like that, they all have this idea of initializing data when you're creating an object. And oftentimes this is known as the constructor. In this video, we're going to talk about why does this construct of constructors exist. There's three simple reasons as to why these exist. A constructor is something that you can define as the programmer of, let's just say, a struct or a class, and you can define it so that when you do so, you prevent garbage data from being set into the object. You can enforce certain rules upon creation. Let's say, for example, you want these integer variables to only be positive, you can enforce those rules. And of course, it helps prevent a lot of boilerplate code. So let's take a look at how this actually works. Maybe you're creating some sort of 3D program and you've got a struct box with int x, y, and z. So x, y, and z represent the size of the box. By default, C++ is going to throw in a constructor in there, but it's not going to do anything. And by the way, CTOR is just the short way of saying constructor. Anyway, the point of this section is I want to show what happens when you don't do anything with the constructor. So let's take a look. So I've got int main here. I define box B1 and then I just print the data. So when I make and run the code, you're going to see something very interesting. The X, Y, and Z values are filled with junk data. So this is the problem with not having a constructor. When you initialize an object, right, if you're creating some variables like this and you don't have a constructor, or you just depend on C++ to use a default constructor, these variables might have junk inside of them. And in many cases, that's not what you really want. This leads us to the second example, which is why do we need a constructor? Why can't we just do this, right? Suppose you've got box B1, why don't you just write code like this? Of course, that runs into two problems, is that when you initialize the box, the data is garbage data, and you as a programmer have to remember to set this up every single time. So let's run this code and see what happens. So when I make the code, you'll notice that initially when we created the box, there was some junk data, and when I set it up such that x, y, and z equal 1, then it was set to equal 1, but at the same time this is not really readable. It's essentially a lot of boilerplate code that I as a programmer need to remember. Of course, you could assume that this has been set inside of some function. Maybe there's some sort of init data function that the programmer has created on the box such that you don't have to type this out every single time. But then again, you still have to remember to do init data before the first usage of that data. So if you're trying to print the data, you have to remember that you have to initialize it first. So again, this is kind of where it gets tedious to not have a constructor. So this is why constructors exist. So let's take a look at how we can create a constructor and how we can use them. So here I've got another struct box with the x, y, z variables, but this time we're going to have our constructor. Now the first thing to note about the constructor is that it's a special method that runs automatically when the object is created. You don't have to call this function at all. As soon as you define a box B1, this function is going to run. And the goal is to essentially initialize its member variables, in this case x, y, and z, and set it up to the initial state that you think is good. Now the important thing is that when you're defining the constructor, you need to make sure it has the same name as the struct or the class. So in this case, it's called box, and that there is no return type. And this tells C++ this is a constructor, so by default run this if somebody just says box B1. And this is going to initialize the box to be 111. Obviously, programming is done with multiple people. I mean, nowadays it's done with multiple people and multiple agents, but let's not think about that right now. Point is, programming is done with people. And when somebody creates like a box class, they have this idea of how that box class should be initialized, right? If I'm a programmer and I create this box class, let's just say in 2020, somebody wants to use the box class in 2026, then they shouldn't need to know how, like what method to call. They don't need to know that they need to call this thing called init box or any of that, right? They should just be able to write box B1 and it should initialize to reasonable defaults that I as the programmer who made it in 2020 set it up to be, right? That's the point of this kind of constructor. It's not just that it's constructing the object, but it's also kind of this contract that you as a programmer are making with any future person who uses your class or your library or whatever. But of course, you might want to have different types of constructors, because you might want to ensure that somebody should be able to initialize a box with different parameters. They shouldn't always get a box of size 111. Maybe they want to initialize it separately so that they can, initialize a box to have X, Y, and Z coordinates of size A. So this is another thing that we could do in the constructor, which is we could say, hey, by the way, make sure that the value is greater than 0, because you can't create a box that has negative values, right? And finally, we can create multiple types of constructors. This is the default constructor that we've essentially overridden, that like C++ would have created something like box like this by default, but of course we don't want that, we want this, so we've overwritten this. We've got one with one parameter, and of course we can add another with multiple parameters. So if you want to allow the user to create a rectangular box with various XYZ coordinates, you can create this as well. And let's see what happens when we print the data. I've got box B1, box B2, which is passing in 3, and then box B3, which is passing in 2, 3, and 4. These are calling the default, the 1 parameter, and the 3 parameter constructors respectively. So let's see what happens when we run this code. So when I run this code, it does exactly as we expect. The first time around, we are setting X, Y, and Z to 1, even though we're not calling any sort of function like b1.init data. Like there's no function like this, right? Even though we haven't done anything, the constructor is getting called, and when we print the data immediately after creating this variable, it is being set to 1, 1, and 1. In this case, it's being set to 3, 3, 3, and in the final case, it's being set to 2, 3, and 4. So this is kind of the point of the constructor. So to summarize, the point of the constructor is that it essentially prevents garbage data. You can also add some rules so that, you want to ensure that the user doesn't, creates a box with negative values, because maybe that's not what you expected as the library creator. And it prevents boilerplate code. And so, yeah, these are the 3 reasons as to why we want to use constructors, and also a little bit of an introduction of how to set them up. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about in this video, which is just kind of the basics of constructors. This isn't the end of the discussion on constructors, because there's actually more stuff you could do, like copy constructors and move constructors and member initialize a list. There's a lot of things that you can do that are a little bit more advanced than just the basic constructor, but again, in this video I just want to go over the basics. So yeah, that's all I want to talk about in this video. If you've enjoyed it, hit the like button and consider subscribing for more random C++ deep dives just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.